Hello, my lovely people. How are we? I wanted to do a sit-down chat with you guys today because I feel like it's been a little while. I've pretty much just woke up. It's my day off. I've thrown on some kind of I guess, beachwear. I've got my bikini underneath. The sun is out. So after I finish talking to you all, I am probably going to just chill on the balcony and enjoy the rest of my day off. But I really wanted to talk to you guys, and I had a few things in mind, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna bite the bullet and talk about something that is extremely important, and that is women's safety. Now, I'm talking about it today because I've seen some concerning stuff in the news last night. And I mean, to be honest, the last couple years, it's just been one thing after another for women. There's just feels like there's just constantly attacks on, there's a lot of really bad stuff happening right now, but a lot of attacks on women. Honestly, every time I put on the news, there's a lot of YouTubers I watch who basically their channels are like news channels. There's just always something new, and it's actually crazy. But last night I seen something about, I have to be careful because I don't know what I can and can't say on YouTube. But last night I seen something about them handing out leaflets to people on how not to assault women. Let's just put it like that, because I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And I want to know your thoughts on this. I want to know your genuine opinions and all of this and what you guys are thinking, because it's one of those things where it just feels like madness. It just feels like madness. It feels like when you think things can't get worse, they do. And you're like, how far have we fallen, guys? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that try and see the positive side to it all, if there is any. But I have seen some videos of people talking about all of this stuff that's building up in the world right now, but then they see a silver lining, and I'm like, I don't know. To me, it just feels like, and I think I see this a lot because I am working in customer service, and I see the way people are acting at the moment as a whole. I'm seeing so many people coming into my workplace every day, and I'm seeing a pattern in how people are acting, and genuinely not to try and be negative as such, but it is getting worse. I've worked in customer service for a very, very long time, and there's always been the odd people that are difficult to deal with. But at the moment, it's people that were never like this before, really, are just you can feel the tension, the anger building up in people. And not even just that, but people just seem scared, they just seem anxious, and it's understandable with where things are at the moment. But this video wasn't really about people in general. We can do a whole nother video on that, and I have touched upon it a lot, but this one is more about women's safety. But I guess the reason I tie that into this video is because you see how angry and frustrated people are becoming, and the way they talk to us. And when I say us as well, I mean the women. Sometimes it's actually a lot worse with how they talk to us women. And it's crazy to me because I grew up in a family where manners is everything, and I had a really good relationship with my dad, a really good relationship with my older brother, and they would just never speak to women in the way I get spoken to sometimes. And so I want to make it clear that I actually do love men, and I have great relationships with men in my life. So I'm not talking about those type of men, but there is a big bunch of men that unfortunately are not good people. They are not nice, and the way some of them speak to us, you just see it. I see it on a small scale when I'm in work, basically. And I know you shouldn't speak to anybody how some of these people talk to us, But I just feel like when it comes to women and children, because we are more vulnerable, I just think it's such a cowardly thing to do. But anyway, tying that into the bigger scale, because what I'm trying to get at here is on a daily, I'm seeing this on a smaller scale get gradually worse and worse, right? Because people kind of say, how did we get here? How did we fall so low? And it's like, because it's all these little things gradually building up to then there being almost like an explosion, and then people are suddenly woken up. But it's like all of these little things in between that you need to pay attention to, because it builds up and up. And I'm one of those people that I'm like really in tune with the way I feel when I'm in a place. I can really pick up on the mood and the vibe. I can pick up on other people, how they're feeling, if it's genuine or not. I've always been very in tune with that. So like I actually did a video about a year or two ago talking about this and how, and I was quite uncertain when I said it, because I had tried to speak to people like my friends and colleagues and stuff about it, and they were like, no, I don't think it's got worse. Like, I think like, you know, it's just always been this way. And I did talk about it in a video, and I was like, I don't know, I definitely feel like something's building up. Like, I could just feel it when I was in work. It didn't feel nice anymore, you know? And look what's happening now. Like, it just feels like it's a mess. It's a mess. And I think a lot of us are in our little bubbles and we're like just getting on with it, you know, as we do. But we can't ignore that this isn't happening. And the problem is when I try and look at it from all angles, I don't blame some of these people who I spoke about that come into work and you just feel like the tension, the anxiety, the anger. You don't almost blame them because of the state of things at the moment and what we see in the news and so many lies and not knowing all these conspiracy theories, you know, going around social media and not knowing what to believe anymore. And I can say that I have experienced this firsthand as a female, you know, and also as a child. I guess there were some strange things that happened, and you think, was that something sinister or was it just an innocent event? And I'll touch upon that in a moment, a little story that I do think about from time to time, actually. But like, for example, last night I was walking home from work late at night, and some guy was like walking towards me, just like a younger, normal guy, and I just had my head down walking by, just wanting to get home. And then he was like, excuse me, and I like kind of like stopped. You know what it's like, because everyone's on edge at the moment, so I kind of like just like stop. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like showing me something on his phone, and it's like the maps. And he asked me if we were on a certain street. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, you're a bit like hesitant, because everything that I watch these days is like, don't talk to people you don't know. Like, you know, it's just like everything's got some malicious intent, is what it feels like people are saying at the moment. So I'm kind of like a little bit like, and then I'm like, no, he's just asking for directions. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we used to do, right? And I kind of said what I thought and then just like walked off, and he's like, okay, thank you. And like I say, he was just asking for directions, and that's what we used to do before we had like maps and stuff on our phone. But because of everything that's happening right now and the state of everything and how women are just told constantly we are not safe anymore, it was like I didn't even know if to stop and give him the time of day or if to just like carry on walking. It's like straight away everything's set off. Whereas I think before you wouldn't have really thought twice. Like years ago, you just be like, oh, someone's just asking for directions, and it's not even a thing. Whereas now it's like turned into this big story, and you see it on like TikTok, people like, last night I was walking home and this guy stopped me, and it's turned into like this crazy thing, and you're like, maybe he was trying to do something bad. Like, everything now is like over thought about, and everything is like picked apart. And for women, it just feels like whether we're in danger or not, like we're constantly told to feel like we could be in danger and to stay alert. And I think that is for good reason, because there is a lot of crazy stuff happening right now. If you look at, like, I don't know, Aisling Murphy in Ireland a few years back, Sarah Everard in the UK, like just walking home, or I think that's what she was doing, walking back home or something, being stopped even by a policeman. And like, you know, we're just constantly told to be alert all the time, to question everything, and it just becomes like exhausting. But then, like I said, you also understand it is for good reason, because it could literally be the case of that second thought that you have could be the case of saving your life. Like, it really is to that extent. I think before social media, you would only really have like a few news channels. So that's just kind of, you took it more like, okay, yeah, like that's what's happening. And everyone was kind of on the same page with the news and what's in the crime and what's going on in the world. But now, because we have so many different social media platforms, so many creators coming out with their theories, their version of what's going on, it's making it really difficult to know what truly is happening. And I think it's scaring people. And it's really, I guess, I don't like to use this, but it is kind of dividing people, because people have a lot of different versions of events and what they think is happening. And it ends in like heated discussions and etc. So like, I don't almost blame people, because I know we're in a confusing time right now. But when it comes to ignoring the fact that this is happening and women's safety is really not in a good place and children's safety is really not in a good place, that's when I'm like, you need to wake up. But the little story I was going to tell you about when I was little was, me and my sister used to play like in like the trees, and we'd have our wellies on. So we lived in the UK growing up. So obviously there'd be a lot of rainy days and a lot of muddy fields, because we would go and watch my dad and brother play football. So the field would be like waterlogged. So we'd go in our wellies, our big raincoats, and we would absolutely love it. We'd be like playing in the trees and yeah, just loving life. And one day we were playing just up from the field in the car park. And by the car park, there was like a fence and then a house. And before my dad and my brother went down onto the pitch to play their game, my dad had said hello to the older man in the house over the fence. So me and my sister were only very little, so we just assumed, oh, dad knows that guy. Anyway, me and my sister then get left on our own in the car park to play. And sorry, I keep looking down here. That's probably really annoying. I have like another screen down here. I need to get used to this new camera. So anyway, we are playing, and then the guy, this older guy, the older man, calls us over, and he's like leaning on the fence, and he's like, I was so young, I couldn't tell you exactly what he was saying. I just remember snippets of it. And he had guinea pigs in his garden. So he, from what I remember, got out the guinea pigs and was like asking us if we wanted to stroke them. And at this point, we were on one side of the fence and he was in his garden on the other. And then he's like, do you want to climb over and you can hold them and stroke them, or whatever it was. It must have been that, because anyway, we climbed over. And then, and remember, I was only small, so I do not remember what he would have been saying. But then he was like, and it was what you're always told not to do and what you should be afraid of. And if someone ever asks you this, you say no. But he says, do you want some chocolate? And whatever happened, I'm trying to I can see it in my head now, but I can't really remember it all because I was so young and my sister was even younger. But we do talk about it now. And he asked if we wanted some chocolate. For whatever reason, I remember my sister, I'm pretty sure she didn't come in I don't know whether something tells me alarm bells did go off a little bit as a little kid and I said, you stay here. Or if he told her to, I don't remember. But for whatever reason, I'm almost sure she didn't come in and she stood at the doorway. And I remember walking through this really small corridor to go into his kitchen. And on the top of his fridge, he had a big box full of like chocolate and stuff. Now, I remember it might have felt that way when I was little, because when you're small, everything seems bigger. But I just remember him having like a big box of chocolate and asked to pick one for me and my sister. And then I don't really remember anything else after that. But I remember being in the car on the way home and I told my dad went mental. And I remember being so embarrassed because, you know, when you're little, you just get so embarrassed over anything. And I was a very shy child, so I'm surprised that I would have even have done that. But I think he was very like calming. And like I said, I thought he knew my dad, and I was with my sister. But anyway, seeing my dad's reaction and stuff, it was like, we all knew that was just actually very strange for the guy to have done that and to have asked us in when he knew we were on our own. Like, when I think about it, yeah, it could just be a sweet thing, but even if he was just trying to be sweet, he would know how that could look. So wouldn't he have just let us stay on our side of the fence and just brought us out like a chocolate bar? Or, you know, the fact that he invited me in and stuff when I was really small, it was quite a strange scenario. So I always think to that and I think, Jesus, you know, it could have been so innocent, but that also could have been something that had ended very differently. But yeah, my dad went mental and was like, why did you do that? You never do that again. If anyone asks you to go in, you never do that. And I was like, but Dad, I thought you knew him. I thought he was your friend. And he was like, I don't know him. I just said hello to him. And I remember I think I just went really quiet after that. And I don't really remember anything more. I feel like he went down and said something to the man. I don't know, or he wanted to, I don't really remember. But he was so mad, and I knew straight away that was something we shouldn't have done. I probably knew it at the time, but I think, you know, as a child, you connect people together and stuff. And I think I seen my dad say hello to him and I just thought it was my dad's friend, so I thought it was fine. So I know this video might sound random, bringing up like different events and stuff, but it all comes in together. So I guess I'm bringing that up to say, like, there's always been, you know, things you have to be careful of and situations you have to be careful in and think twice and use your instincts and your gut feelings about things. And there's always been bad people. And then I really should have, you know, I don't know, maybe I was little and I just wanted a chocolate bar at that time. I don't really know, but my instincts were not good then. I know I was a child, but I should have absolutely said no. And known something was wrong. But yeah, you've got to double think things for your safety. And I guess leading it into today's world, it's like almost like we, us females now, are in overdrive and we're doing that, but it's like exhausting because you've got to constantly be second guessing things because, like I said, it could be the case of literally saving your life. I've had things like someone message me and literally say, I know where you live. Literally was like, you live on so-and-so street, like I know where you live. Like, literally had people message me things like that. And I'm constantly, and I think it's been ingrained in a lot of people of my age, a lot of girls of my age, that it's fine, they're just being nice, like they're just being nice, don't make a scene. And I think I've always been taught to be polite and have manners, but almost like sometimes it's too far because then I'm accepting things that aren't normal and it is strange and you don't really just message someone something like that. But then I'm like, no, like they probably are just trying to find a way to like talk to me or something, because I know it's difficult for guys these days to try and talk to females. They don't know what they can and can't say, and I'm like, maybe he's just trying to find something in common to message me. But then I'm like, but you don't just message someone, I know where you live, do you? Like, isn't that a bit strange? The same with at work. Like sometimes people bring me in like presents and stuff, and I think that's so nice. I actually love it. It makes my day. I'm like, oh, like I don't even really know you that well, but you've took the time to go and buy me something with me in mind and come up and given it to me. But on a serious note, I kind of had to like start saying no, because people would harmlessly be asking me if I want a coffee or bringing me in treats and stuff like they do with my other colleagues. Like it's not like a special thing about me, but I had to kind of start saying no, which is a shame because some of these people are absolutely lovely, normal, down to earth people. But I had to start saying no because unfortunately, some of these people are not. And then you kind of just say yes to one coffee, or they bring you in a present and you're like so thankful because that's such a nice thing to do. And then they take it too far and it starts to become weird. And that's when you have to trust your gut feeling. Because when someone starts to hover around in a place of work where they know I'm trying to work and I can't move because I'm just on a desk, and they start asking me personal questions that they do not need to know. There's no reason for them to ask about how I get home and about if I have a partner and all of these kind of questions, like as in literally asking where I live and how do I get home and am I on my own at the end of my shift and things like that. That's when that's stuff that you don't need to know. I understand if I'm talking to another female and I've built up a really good relationship with her and she's genuinely like, so how do, like, are you on your own when you leave? You know, there's like, there's a difference and we can tell. But when a man starts asking me that stuff who I don't really know, and they've been bringing me in presents, I start putting the two and two together, and even if there's no malicious intent and they're just trying to like crack on or something, you know, there's a time and a place. And I think that's when us females have to learn to shut things down. And I think sometimes with me personally, because I am quite polite and I find it hard to shut things down, I probably let things drag on for way longer than I should, which is giving that other person more like time to suss out the situation and think that maybe I'm on board too and stuff. So I'm trying to learn how to not always be so polite and just shut things down quicker. My point is, all of it just becomes exhausting. Like sometimes even just leaving the house, like sometimes on my day off, I'm like, do you know what? I actually just want to stay in the apartment, because it feels like when you leave the house these days, even if you're in your own little zone and you're just going for a walk, I just feel like there's always someone that will like start saying something as I'm trying to walk by. And I know I'm in a city and there is the whole mental health really declining and stuff. So a lot of these people clearly are just not all there themselves. But like sometimes I'd just rather stay in to avoid that, because sometimes it's more exhausting when you're trying to have a day off in your own little bubble, time to yourself, and kind of like reset to go back to work. Sometimes even leaving the house, you just have a weird interaction and you're like, oh my God. I also want to say, since I am in my bikini a lot and stuff in my videos and my Instagram, because I am living in Australia, and a lot of my vlogs are like when I'm going to the beach and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter what you're wearing. It does not matter what you're wearing. I can tell you that, honestly. Like I just spoke about, I can be standing at the desk and fully covered in my uniform, and people will still say things and make comments. Like when I go out, unless I am on the beach and stuff, I am usually pretty covered up compared to like what a lot of people wear, which is fine. I'm not getting into that. But people will still say stuff, and predators are still they're not looking for what you're wearing, you know. It's not as simple as it's because of what you're wearing, you're drawing attention. It's not just about that at all. So yeah, I feel like this little video is probably just me speaking and saying a load of things and not really saying anything at all. But I guess to conclude, I'm explaining that I understand people just getting on with their lives and trying to just make the best out of everything, because you can't just be miserable all the time. If you consume all of this, like, you are going to be miserable all the time. And I think a lot of us are feeling it. So I do understand why some people may choose to ignore it or feel like, well, there's nothing they're going to do is going to change it. But we can't do that, because these things are happening. And I'm telling you from my own experience that this is happening. And for women and children, it is a hard time, and it's always been a hard time for us to feel safe all the time and constantly feel like you've got to keep looking over your shoulder and stuff, and second guessing every male's intentions towards you. It's always been difficult. And right now, if you as a man are feeling the extent of everything right now and this crazy feeling of heaviness around us, if you as a man are feeling it, think how the females are feeling, because it's like how you're feeling, but 10 times worse, because we have to worry about our safety in a totally different way to what a lot of men do. So I truly believe that with everything that's going on right now, it is making females, women's safety, children's safety a lot worse right now. So yeah, I know I've rambled, but I hope that you guys will tell me your thoughts on this. Tell me, what do you think? And how you're feeling right now. How are you genuinely feeling? What do you genuinely think? I'd love to know. But anyway, I am going to end this one here. I've got so much more I could talk about, and I could get a little bit more in depth into all of this. I know I've been kind of tiptoeing around the subject, but at least I'm talking about it, because a lot of people aren't. I think a lot of people aren't truly honest in how things are at the moment, and how they've always been, but how they are getting worse. So yeah, love you all lots, and I will see you in the next one.